Elvis may have left the building, but he is still a king in the world of memorabilia and collector's items. We all know of Elvis and his music career and life. Women still swoon after all these years, and many people still collect and search for Elvis-related items. Some can be found at rummage sales, flea markets, and estate sales. You'd be surprised by how much some pieces are worth. Of course, t-shirts are first. Vintage Elvis t-shirts range in price from $15 to $100 or more, depending on rarity. I personally love this vintage shirt, and for $20, I would have bought it as well. This little item, an Elvis ring from a gumball machine, could easily be overlooked at the bottom of a flea market box. They're usually listed on eBay starting at $50 and up, depending on the quantity listed. I'm sure they originally cost 50 cents or less. How about some photographs? There are many listings for original photographs taken by concert attendees, and others were taken by professionals. Do you have any photos of the king hanging out in an old photo album? Or how about this discovery? I had no idea that there was an online shop on eBay dedicated solely to Elvis, and this is the Elvis Presley Boulevard Pawn Shop, Memphis. They have sold over 17,000 items that focus and center around the king. So they specialize in original Elvis memorabilia, collectibles, and Elvis-owned items. So if you want a book owned by Elvis, this is where you go. They've assisted in the sale of many large collections associated with Elvis, of people associated with Elvis, and also of Elvis fans. So if you are a mega Elvis collector and you want to move your stuff along, reach out to them. Or if you are an Elvis collector and you've never heard of this pawn shop online on eBay, you might want to check them out because they have sold some pretty interesting things. Now, many of these items you're not going to find at an estate sale, like this Elvis-owned police chief badge, or perhaps the Elvis-owned briefcase phone sticker. These came from the estates of those that were largely associated with Elvis, or some really high-end collectors. But some items that you could possibly come across at an estate sale or even at a flea market are concert tickets. Now, this was his last concert, June 26th, and it sold for $995. How many of these tickets are out there in scrapbooks, thrown into photo boxes? Who knows? This was Elvis's last book. It was the book that he was reading before he passed away, the last book he ever read, and that sold for $805. There's a lot of other books. Many of these are autographed, so that ups their value. You have The Making of Jailhouse Rock. This is a sealed book and rare, and that sold for $525. So if you come across some Elvis books, again at the flea market or in estate sales, perhaps do a little Google search on there, because these weren't signed, and yet they are going for a really good amount of money just because of the rarity of them. Now, I wanted to show you something that was really, really interesting that you might not believe. Again, here we have another ticket. And that is this. Light bulbs. Now, this isn't the only one. They have several in their shop. These were used at the Graceland Christmas tree, and they come with a COA. And it sold for $255 with 12 bids. Unbelievable. Who would have thought that a Christmas tree light bulb, there's another one, would sell for that much? Again, it was used at Graceland, so not sure if you're going to get that much for your bulbs that you have hanging around at your house at home, but lots of vinyls, some specialty items. Here we even have a Funko Pop. I've never seen this one out at flea markets, auctions, etc., but if you do, $200 right there. So I think your best bet, if you are looking for Elvis items out in the wild, so to speak, if you're at an estate sale, especially if you're at an estate sale, where you can tell someone has collected Elvis, I would take a look, because you might find a ticket stub just hanging out in a desk drawer or in a scrapbook, or as I said, in a box with other photo albums and memorabilia. And that's a pretty good amount of money for a piece of paper. Were you a member of the Elvis fan club? If you go to an estate sale of an Elvis fan, perhaps you might find an original bucket hat. This one with the tag still attached sold for a nice amount. Or maybe in a junk drawer you'll find a pencil. A single Elvis fan club pencil sold for a whopping $51. For a pencil. On the newer side, many are familiar with Department 56. This Graceland, made in the year 2000 with the original retail price at $165, now sells for around double that amount. While the eBay items shown here weren't owned by the king, they can still sell for a good price. Things like the pencil and little ring can be easily overlooked in the rush of estate sales and rummage sales, so be on the lookout. It's now or never. The treasures won't wait.